Hello and welcome to GG Replay for Friday, July 9th, 2021. It is a beautiful day today out there. GG Replay is a Monday, Wednesday, Friday podcast breaking down the latest in gaming news, hosted by the Goodnight Groofs, a place for games and a place for goofs. We're workshopping that one. I am Paul, and I am joined, as always, by Matt. How are you doing today, Matt? Is it beautiful where you are?
No, not really, to be honest. It's been kind of overcast. You know
Yeah, I
what?
don't know why I said that. We've been having a lot of rain today.
I like overcast though, so I can deal
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, that's true. You like the storms.
I do. I love them.
See, I like a good storm. We actually had that last night and today. It's a lot of thundering and lightning, which is pretty fun. But now it's kind of just evolved into gray, which I'm not really into. Like, I feel like you should just go for it
Yeah.
or go away. That's my feeling on clouds. So take that, clouds.
Yeah, I get that. Sometimes I do just like the overcast, like with nothing else. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a mood, Paul. It's a mood.
It's a moody thing. You know what Rachel and I always do is when there's an overcast day and we have to go driving somewhere, we'll put on the original Twilight soundtrack.
Yeah.
Because it just feels like we're in the Pacific Northwest driving around. You got to get the Twilight soundtrack on there. It's a banging soundtrack too. It's a good time.
I wouldn't know.
Robert Pattinson, who famously hates Twilight now, still says the soundtrack ahead of its time. So
wow, impressive.
It's a good time. It's a good indie
Maybe
soundtrack
I need to check it out.
A rainy day. You should. You know what? It's a fun indie rainy day soundtrack. I will honestly tell you.
Right.
Standalone for the movies, pretty solid.
Very nice.
Yeah, so enough about Twilight. Oh man, can you imagine if there was a Twilight game in 2021? Just how bizarre that would be. Unrelated to the movies, like different character models. Unrelated to Twilight, though, unfortunately. We have some gaming news, mainly what we have teased before, which was the state of play, which is really, really cool. But before we get to that, just want to remind you, we were perfect last week, according to you. According to you, we could have been wrong, but no one's giving us corrections. So until you correct us, we think we're right. But if you have any corrections, head on over to ggreplayshow@gmail.com. And by head on over, I mean send us an email and let us know. And if you're watching on YouTube, head down to the comments below so we can address them in the next episode, because we're not perfect. We make mistakes. So maybe. Allegedly, maybe. So we have one or two times, mainly Matt noticing that we screwed something up, not anyone from the audience. All right, let's get right into State of Play. Let's talk about the main thing that we were all here for, the reason we were watching State of Play, which is the Deathloop gameplay. We finally know a lot more about Deathloop. We kind of, I feel like, had some idea, but we really know what the exact gameplay loop is now. No pun intended, maybe. Matt, what do you think? I know you've been pretty hyped about this. I am finding myself pretty hyped about this game. Do you want to run down some of the things that are happening in Deathloop?
Yeah, I'm excited about this game, mostly because I just love Dishonored. And this trailer, or not really trailer, but deep dive that we saw today, which, by the way, we are recording a day early today. I know we're cheating because of certain situations, but
so a Switch Pro came out on Friday. We're missing it. I'm sorry.
yeah.
That's why we're not talking about it.
So yeah, but this deep dive really just kind of took it home that this is a comedic Dishonored roguelite, basically. And I love that. I love Dishonored. The gameplay of Dishonored is so good. It's so satisfying. It's so fun. There's so many different ways that you can play the game.
Yep.
And it works so well in translating to this kind of game that Deathloop is, and so I'm excited about this. The gunplay looks fantastic. It looks so satisfying. Yeah. You straight up have the teleport mechanic just lifted right from Dishonored.
Right yeah.
And I love that in Dishonored, so it looks fun in this as well. But basically how this works is you're stuck in a time loop. You have to take out 8 targets before the day repeats. And while you're doing that, you have a character named Juliana who is hunting you and trying to stop you. Now, here's so cool. It is cool. It's very
already cool. Cool off the top.
Cool off the top, and then here's where it gets crazy. It can be an NPC, or Juliana could be played by another player, which is wild to me.
During you playing, which is so cool. There's people who could just be Juliana players, who that's like their main favorite thing to do.
I assume you'll have the option to play an offline mode where you don't have to do that if you don't want to.
Yeah.
But that is such a cool idea, and I can't wait to see how it works exactly. But it kind of reminds me of, you have like the invaders in Dark Souls that come into your game and PvPU and stuff like that. So it reminds me of that. And I think it could potentially, in a game like Deathloop where it's like a roguelite, it could potentially lead to some really frustrating, tilting moments. And so
definitely think
I
so.
think that would be fun. But basically, if you die, you can rewind twice before the day restarts.
I didn't 100% get. It sounded like they said that was a power you could have, but not
Oh, did
necessarily a power
they?
you definitely. I thought they said this is one of the powers you can equip, or so. I thought maybe that was something they had said.
Okay.
I'm not 100%, but it sounded to me maybe like that
Okay.
was like an option. So maybe not. I don't know.
Okay.
But it sounds like they showed a mechanic off where you could die twice during the day, and you could restart, roll yourself back,
Right.
which was really cool.
And then, similar to some other games, like if you go back and find your body, like where you died, you can get some of your stuff back. I think they said you can't like get it all back, but you can get some stuff or some materials back to remake stuff. But yeah, I think great mechanic.
Cool.
This game just looks really fun, Paul. It really does.
Really fun. I love the looping mechanic. I mean, it's not like we haven't all played a roguelite or roguelike at some point. But this is so cool. It just looks like it's totally built around that. It's really, really high graphics. I mean, really good graphics, really, really high concept. Really cool. Looks just like a total blast. I love that all the different bosses or whatever your targets that you're taking out seem to have different kind of styles to them and their own kind of inner fantasies or their own kind of stories that you're kind of seeing, and you're learning things about them. And I think that's really cool. I just saw so many people talking about that in response to the AC Infinity stuff. Or AC and saying how like we don't have any games like AC anymore where you stalk your targets and you have to like learn things about them to stalk them more, and you can do it different ways. Here you go, everyone. You were just talking about it. Here is an awesome game where you can do that exact thing. Really awesome.
And I feel like the comedy seems a little bit unique too. Like it's crude, and like one of your targets in the game was like giving a speech to people, and he's like, "Hello, sluts," just like such a weird way to greet people. Like,
was that the dog guy, the wolf guy? Or was that a different guy?
I think they're wearing masks. I don't think they're actually wolf people.
No, he's not. But I mean, the guy wearing the wolf get up, yeah.
Maybe. I'm not.
The lead furry. I don't know.
I don't remember what he was wearing, but
I don't remember. But it's really, really cool. I like it. Yeah, it seems really sassy and fun, and you have like someone in your comms that you're talking to the entire time, like having, which is really cool. It just looks like a total blast. I'm really psyched. This is one of those good times where I'm really psyched that this is a game that will be coming out for PS4 as well as PS5, because I am looking forward to playing this, and I was almost disappointed that this was going to be exclusive. So it's fun for me, less exciting for you, who is like, I want it to be cooler looking. Yeah, not so good, but still really cool.
Also, the last Arcane game that we're probably getting ever.
Last Arcane game.
So
on PlayStation before we move on, because Arcane's going to be moving on to what the heck's it? Redfall? Is that what it's called?
Yeah. Well, they have two studios.
Do they? Is that what that is? Okay.
Yeah. They have a studio in France and one in Austin, Texas.
Gotcha. I gotcha. Well, now I just look like a right fool. Yeah. So speaking about different studios and the way a studio might interfere, who knows? We have a director's cut. We have more stuff about Death Stranding director's cut. Now, we've talked about this before. I already think Death Stranding director's cut is a hilarious name, because it's not like Kojima didn't have such a hand in this game, like an auteur like way of making this insane game that is just such from his mind, that the idea of a director's cut is kind of a funny terminology.
Yeah.
But that being said,
it's from Kojima Productions, so it's the whole thing was a director's cut.
Yeah, and so this is also from Kojima Productions, and it looks cool. I mean, I think you can always make Death Stranding look cool, but will it play cool? How much will the things that we're seeing in Death Stranding director's cut be in the game versus just walking around? Matt, did you ever get a chance to play any Death Stranding?
No, I've been waiting for like a really deep sale,
really good sale,
or
which
PS
doesn't seem to
Plus.
happen very often.
So I don't know if that's going to happen, but I might end up just buying this director's cut on day one.
Yeah.
At this point, I'm just waiting for the director's cut. This trailer was wild. So they have like catapults now for the cargo.
Yeah, yeah,
As
really
Mike
wild.
said in Discord, yeet the cargo as is a new feature. There was
Yeah,
also like mechanical legs walking around with the cargo.
I love that. And you can
Um,
also ride on the back of the mechanical legs and they can carry you around. I don't know if that was, I thought that might have been a feature in the other game. Like, I didn't know if that was part of the exosuit. I don't know, but it looked really hilarious.
there's racing now and like
Yeah,
on
the bike.
tracks, but
Yeah,
like with race cars on a track. Like I don't know how that fits in exactly. And
no.
enhanced melee combat. That's a good. I like that because
Mhm.
I did hear that that was one complaint that a lot of people had was melee
Yeah.
combat wasn't that great. New ways to use the guns. They were showing uh not trebuchets. What are they called? What's it called? Turrets. They were showing
Yes. Oh, the turret thing was
turrets.
cool. Yeah, yeah,
There was like a gun firing range. So
yeah.
there's new enhancements with the guns, but
Hmm.
basically it looks like Death Stranding with upgraded combat and some extra random stuff to
It
do,
looked
like racing.
it looks kind of like Death Stranding if they added gameplay, which is cool
Yeah,
because we like that.
yeah. No, I'm excited about this.
Yeah.
I had wanted to play the first one, but it was one of those where it's like I don't know if I'm actually gonna like this game, so I don't want to buy it at full
I feel
price.
like the entire point is not to like it. Like I feel like you're supposed to
Yeah,
be
yeah.
like it's one of those things which I think you might like, but it's one of those things where it's like you're almost like punishing yourself with like the
True,
monotony of it, and that's kind of like the point of the game, like a
true.
little bit. I feel like that was the Strand style ethos. So,
It's
and
very
also
possible.
we can really give more to the, yeah, we can really give more credit to the Strand style game category since there are now technically going to be two. Uh,
Yeah, there are
it doesn't
now
really, I don't know if it counts, but we at least have, we could at least maybe call it a category if there's two games.
two games in the Strand genre.
Yeah,
Perfect.
although we're moving on to the cloud genre with Kojima's new game,
Yeah.
so who knows? We'll get a cloud style game and it'll be totally different. All right, so that was Death Stranding director's cut. Nothing crazy to say. It just looks like they're adding more, which why the heck not? If they can do some after production stuff, we are always for it. Something definitely exciting for Matt, less so for me because you are a PSVR guy. But we have more Moss. We have Moss Book Two for PSVR, and I mean, I'll tell you, it looks like a hoot and a holler. I love any mouse games. I love Ghost of a Tale. I love Moss. Like I haven't played all these games, but I just like the entire visual of it is so cool. Biomutant isn't even a mouse game, but you may as well be a mouse. I love all these games where you can just adventure around in a mousy world. So Moss looks great to me. I was trying to remember why I hadn't played the first one, and then I remembered it was because it was exclusive to PSVR. But yeah, what do you think, Matt? Are you excited for Moss Book Two? Will it maybe get you back into Moss if you played it before? I'm not sure.
No, same with you. I haven't played it. I own Moss on
Hmm.
PSVR. I just haven't played it. I was playing a lot of Astrobot Rescue Mission back in the day,
Sure,
some Rec
it's a good
Room.
time.
I was playing around with other stuff on PSVR, and I just never got to it. And then like when you when you put your PSVR away, it's like a whole process to set it back up. So,
Yeah,
but
you need
yeah,
a dedicated room that you leave it in,
yeah,
or else you'll
yeah,
never pick it up.
pretty much.
Yeah,
But yeah, I need to play Boss at some point. It's been on my list forever. Obviously, I own the
yeah.
game, so
Wait for Moss 2, and then you can play them both in a row.
yeah, that's probably the way to do it.
Maybe.
But
Yeah.
and I think they're short games. I think the first Moss is like 6 or 8 hours at most, or something like that.
Gotcha.
So
This is probably a dumb question, but is PSVR compatible with PS5, or are they planning to come up with a different system for that?
it is. I think you need to get some sort of adapter. I could be
But you
wrong in
can
that.
use that hardware potentially on PS5, or
Yes. I think
okay.
for some reason I think you need an adapter, but I think you can get it for free.
That's
So,
fine though. I mean, even if it costs a little bit of money, that's really cool to be able to use like your super expensive PSVR
yeah.
equipment
Yeah.
on something else. That's really
I
cool.
could be
Because I mean,
wrong in
why
that.
not? It's the same. If you can, that'd be really cool. Because I mean, why not? It's the same basic stuff. Like it doesn't need to be.
I know you can use it. I just don't know if it just plugs right in or if you need an
Gotcha.
adapter.
Cool.
But yeah.
Cool. Neat. I love it. Moving right along to a couple more things in the state of play. I don't have to spend too much time on some of this stuff, just really cool stuff. We saw Fist, which stands for something that I forget. Furries in space and time. No, I don't know what it was, but it's 2.5D action platformer where you play as a badass looking rabbit. and some other animals were in there. There was like a pig. I don't know. It was crazy. I'll tell you right now, my nephew was in the room while I was watching the state of play, and he said it reminded him of Zootopia. So to take that as you will. I don't think it really looks like Zootopia much, but there is a bunny. So there's that.
It was like
Um,
Zootopia meets Beyond Good and Evil or something like
it
that.
really does feel a little bit like that. Yeah, it looks fun. I don't know. Do you have anything more to say about Fist?
No, not really.
It's
Looks
cool.
neat.
Looks fun. I don't know if it's something I'm going to play necessarily. I need a special kind of game to really get me into the 2 games. I find 2.5D games almost are less enticing to me than a full-on 2D platformer. But
Interesting. Yeah.
I just find like that extra layer kind of like, I don't know, something about it just, it feels like you're this far, just make it 3D. I don't know. I know that's stupid. That's not how it works, but it
I get
doesn't
it.
work for me.
I get it.
Yeah, moving right along, we have Sifu. We have more gameplay from Sifu. I barely remember watching this in the trailer, but you were very excited. So what's going down here? What did we see?
I wouldn't say very excited, but it was
No,
intriguing.
but
But
looks
yeah,
cool.
this was
Yeah,
revealed, I think, in February. So this was just some more
yeah.
gameplay. It's like this martial arts fighting style game, sort of a neat stylized art to it. What I thought was interesting was that the character just kept aging throughout the trailer. They kept aging him up,
Yeah.
and I said in Discord, by the end of this thing, this man's gonna be elderly fighting people.
That would be really cool, though. I think
I
that'd be
think
awesome if
that's
that's
where it
part of
actually
it.
goes, to be honest.
Imagine if like your every boss you fight maybe gets harder because you're getting weaker. That's an interesting game
Oh,
mechanic. I'm making
yeah.
that up. It's probably not, but that would be an almost interesting way to play a game like that.
Yeah, like you're a
I
step
never know.
slower. Your
Yeah,
punches
like
hit
it's like
little bit less impactful.
it's almost like a realistic thing rather than you becoming stronger because there's only like a reasonable level that someone could get strength wise. It'd be interesting to see
Yeah,
you get weaker. I
interesting.
don't know, but people might be like, "This is so cheap. I'm just getting the game's less fun because you get weaker every time." Fair enough. But yeah, interesting. We'll see how that plays out. I don't know. We'll put it on the fridge, and if you really do get weaker as an old man, then I'll win the prediction wars.
You win the fridge wars.
I'll win the fridge. Maybe that's how we do it.
Ooh, win the fridge.
Demon Slayer, I thought was pretty cool. I will admit I'm not the crazy. I never saw the anime, and I will admit I'm not crazy about some of that. The dialogue felt a little cringy at the beginning, but I will say just the fights looked really cool. Just the way it looked, you looked like you were in this box. The animation was really stylized. It really was one of those games where it feels like it looked like you would feel like you're playing the anime.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
and it just looked really cool. Like again, the fighting looked really cool. The designs looked pretty neat. Um, yeah, it looks like a lot of fun.
I think Mike said it looked like basically like it was just you were fighting boss after boss, like a Dark Souls boss
That's kind of what I
battle.
liked. It looked like you were kind of crammed in this big box and you were just fighting boss after boss, and I like that. I think it looks a little bit more interesting than what it initially looked like, which is like you're I don't know running through a haunted house and fighting random enemies. This was really cool. So yeah, that impressed me. Yeah, there were some other things, but overall, I thought it was a pretty good state of play. I know some people feel like it was maybe a little bit weak or they didn't show, but in a half hour, I think they really covered a lot of ground and broke some new games that were pretty awesome.
They set expectations correctly. Like they said, it's gonna
Yeah,
be Deathloop and Indies.
that's
That's
the thing. And I thought, okay, I pretty much expected Deathloop and some updates on games we already knew about, and it feels like we got some actually like some new stuff we hadn't seen before. So and updates on games we already knew about. So yeah, I'm actually I came out of this being pleasantly surprised because I really expected to not care about anything besides Deathloop. So it's cool.
yeah.
It's a good time. Yeah, and moving on to some other game news, just a little bit today. Resident Evil Village, the prolific Resident Evil Village has surpassed 4.5 million units. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's selling pretty well. I feel like it's already it was released on May 7th, and we're currently on pace for it to outsell its predecessor game, which is pretty awesome. I feel like Resident Evil was kind of on the down low for a while, and this really brought things back. I feel like I went the last few months. There was like I feel like for May, almost every gaming site I went on every day had some kind of article talking about Resident Evil Village. It was just that in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know if that's something you've ever played. You're a big Resident Evil guy, or if that's interesting to you at all. But I'm not so much me. I did play at the old ones, but it's been a
Yeah.
while.
The last one I played was Resident Evil 4, which I think is
Hmm.
generally considered one of the better ones.
Hmm.
Um, I'm intrigued by it. I have Resident Evil 7 just because of PS Plus, I think, from some
Yep.
point. So I kind of want to play that and then get to Resident Evil Village. I know at some point Village is going to be super low priced on a sale.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's intriguing. And what's crazy is like Capcom is just hit after hit right now. Like in the
Yeah.
last 5 years, looking at this, Capcom has had 5 titles reach at least 5.5 million units sold. Resident Evil
That's
Village
wild.
is going to join that as number 6 pretty soon here. Like
Yeah.
looking at this, Street Fighter 5 in 2016, 5.5 million. Monster Hunter World Iceborne, 7.5 or 7.7
Whew.
million. RE2 Remake, 8.1. RE7 Biohazard, 9. Monster Hunter World, 17.1 million units
That's
sold.
absolutely crazy. So they sold World for like 17.1. They sold the expansion basically for like for more than almost any of the other games they sold.
It's like Monster Hunter World had to have just shattered their expectations so much that like they're just
Yeah.
like, what do we even do with all this money?
Yeah. It feels like the kind of game too that they may have thought, oh, this is gonna hit. Like this is gonna be a big deal. But even then, that's still a lot of money.
Yeah,
Even for
that I
that.
mean that is so many
Yeah.
units for a
That's
game
a
like
lot.
that.
Lot.
And then RE3 remake didn't do quite as well as RE2 remake, but it did well on
Mhm.
its own. And DMC 5 has also done well. So those two more recent games. So
Yeah.
Capcom's in a great spot right now.
They are. They're doing really, really well after I feel like kind of a hinky decade or so before that, where they were kind of I think they were riding high from, the late 90s into the early 2000s into that kind of time. I feel like there was a little bit of a break in Capcom's popularity. Well, I think people got Resident Evil fatigue and some things like that. And they have just
I agree.
they've just popped off. They are back.
They're back.
So really awesome. Which is really cool. And a little bit of MMO news, because we got to talk about it. We're MMO fellas ourselves. We're talking about it all the time. The Ashes of Creation non-NDA Alpha 1 test begins today, Friday, which is really cool. Matt, you can talk a little bit more about this. I know, just for those out there, I believe this is the one we had to pay to get in, right? Or if you were a blogger.
Yeah. So if you want to buy into this, it's $500,
$500, so you
which
could
is a
buy a
lot.
PS5, or
Yeah.
you could play this.
Now they are
Uh,
very clear. Like they're saying, like you, they're very at least they're transparent about it.
yeah,
They're like, do not buy this expecting to be playing a game. Like you are buying
yeah,
this because you want to take part in the testing and help us make this game better. So at
yeah.
least they're doing that. But if you're interested in this game, which is promising a lot of things,
Hmm.
check out. A ton of people are going to be streaming this game. Some
It's a
big
big
MMO
deal.
streamers are going to be streaming it.
Asmongold is streaming. He had Steven, what's his last name? The
Steven
the
Sharif
creative Steven Sharif, the
on
creative
his podcast, yeah.
lead on the podcast. So, this is getting hype. I think a lot of the MMO community and the streaming community and everything around that have been waiting for a savior game to come out and give them something to take a little WoW break from. Although we'll never be fully free. And this, I feel like, is possibly the successor to previous WoW break games we've had. So we'll see. We'll see. But
This game
the
is a long
excitement is
ways
high.
off. It
The
is a long
excitement's high.
ways off,
Is
and
it? Is that what we're kind of feeling still?
oh
It's
yeah,
what
yeah.
years? Are we looking at years or what are we?
Earliest late 2023 is what I would imagine. So
Really?
yeah, it's a ways off at the
Whew.
earliest. But I mean, it's going to take time. If they want to do as much as they're promising, it's going to take time. But again, do not feel like you have to buy into this alpha. Just go watch. So many people are going to be streaming it. Go watch people.
Yeah, I like how you're saying that as if like we're like having to fend off all the people who are like, man, I was about to spend my money on it, and then you talked me out of it. Like everyone's like, yeah, no, I'm probably not going to. Although you almost did. You were so close. I feel like you were close.
Yeah, and then I got my PS5. But Steven,
Yeah.
if you want to let us in, if you want to send us a
Read.
code,
Listen. We're a media
Goodnight
outlet.
Groofs at gmail.com.
Good night, Chris. Listen. We would talk nonstop about your game. I'm sure a lot of other people are promising that, but listen, Asmon, these guys, they have other stuff to talk about. We have no deals. We'll be your guys. All right. That is going to be it for the GG replay for today, Friday, July 8th or 9th. My apologies. But before we go, just a couple little things to remind you about us. First off, we have a Patreon. So if you haven't already tuned out because you heard me start to mention the word Patreon, head on over to patreon.com/goodnightgroofs. We have a couple tiers just to help us out. We appreciate any support we can get. $1 is just like a good guy. We love you tier. $3, $5, those will give you some exclusive rewards and access to some more content that we produce. Also, if you want to see some of the other content we produce, go on over to goodnightgroofs.com because we have blog posts. Some are popping off right now. We have some really popular blog posts that are hitting the old Reddit, the Twitter, so feel free to check those out. And also, we have other social medias and other podcasts and other things, so feel free to head on over, check it out. And speaking of podcasts, this show also exists in an audio-only format. So if you're watching this with our beautiful faces right now and you think, man, I don't want to see those guys' faces, I just want to hear their beautiful voices, head on over to Spotify or Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, rather, or any place where you listen to podcasts, and you can listen to us while you do the dishes and not have to look at us while you do the dishes, if you know what I mean. I don't know what I mean. And lastly, thank you, everyone, for supporting us, for listening. We appreciate it. We love to be able to do this podcast. It's a lot of fun for us. And the more of you listening and supporting and sharing and liking just makes our lives better every day. So thank you so much. Anything else to add, Matt?
5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts. Go do it, please.
Yes. 5-star reviews. We love it. I mean, any reviews on Apple Podcasts are pretty rad. But if you don't give us 5 stars, what are you doing? Why would you even review this podcast if it wasn't to help us out? Maybe you're one of those WoW fanboys who's mad about our latest blog post. I don't know. If you're wondering what I'm talking about.
We love WoW. We love WoW.
We love WoW. That's why we're so hurt. That's why we're writing blog posts. If you wonder what we're talking about, head on over to goodnightgroofs.com, click on our latest blog post, and you will get a little more info about the drama hitting the world. That is going to be it for GG Replay for today. We love you. We appreciate you. Good night, Groofs.
Adios, you son of a groof.